All right, let's talk about something that every single business says they want: creativity. But here's the thing: what if the people in charge, the leaders, are the ones killing it without even knowing? That's what we're digging into today, based on the incredible work of Teresa Amabile from the Harvard Business Review. And this quote right here, it just hits you, doesn't it? It really gets to the heart of the problem. Most managers genuinely believe they want new, innovative ideas. But the very systems they build for perfectly good reasons, for efficiency, for control, those systems often become the unintentional assassins of innovation. So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll tackle the central paradox that companies face. Then, we'll look at the anatomy of a great idea. After that, we'll fire up the motivation engine that drives it all, check out 6 practical levers you can actually pull, and finally, see how this plays out with a couple of real-world examples. Okay, first up, the innovation paradox. This is this fundamental conflict that so many organizations get completely trapped in. Just think about it for a second. Businesses need order, right? They need predictable results, efficient processes, clear performance indicators. But real creativity, well, that's often messy. It's unpredictable. It needs some breathing room to explore. And there's the paradox. The very structures we design to make a business run smoothly can accidentally, systematically just choke the life out of the new ideas it needs to survive long term. So let's get clear on what we're even talking about here. When we say creativity in a business, it's not about finger painting. It's something much more specific. See, in the business world, an idea can't just be original. It also has to be useful. It has to solve a real problem or open up a new market. It has to be appropriate for what the company is trying to do, and it has to be actionable. You have to be able to do something with it. That's the bar. So where do these brilliant ideas actually come from? Well, Amabile's research boils it down to 3 key ingredients. First, you've got expertise. That's what you know, your skills. Second is creative thinking. That's how you approach problems, how you connect the dots in new ways. But the third one, motivation, that's the why. And it's the one that determines if you'll ever even bother to use the first 2. For a manager, this is the most important lever you can pull. Which brings us right to the heart of it all, the motivation engine. Because if you don't get this part right, nothing else really matters. You've basically got 2 flavors of motivation. On one side, you have extrinsic motivation. That's the classic carrot or stick approach, right? A bonus if you succeed, maybe getting fired if you don't. Then, on the other side, you've got intrinsic motivation. This stuff comes from inside. It's a genuine passion for the work, a fascination with the problem, a love of the game. And while that carrot might get a task done, it's that internal fire that truly fuels breakthrough creativity. I love this analogy from the research. Imagine a problem is like a maze. If your motivation is extrinsic, say a cash prize for getting out first, you are going to find the fastest, most obvious path, the one everyone already knows. But if your motivation is intrinsic, you're not just trying to get out. You actually enjoy exploring the maze. You'll take a turn just to see where it goes. And in that joyful process of exploration, that's when you stumble upon a truly novel, elegant, and way more creative solution. And that all leads to this, what Amabile calls the intrinsic motivation principle of creativity. And honestly, this is the whole game. People do their most creative work when they are motivated from the inside by how interesting, satisfying, and challenging the work itself is, period. Okay, so that's the principle. But how do you actually put it into practice? Well, this is where it gets really good, because it translates into 6 concrete, practical levers that any manager has control over. And for each one, you have a choice. You can foster creativity, or you can absolutely crush it. These 6 levers are challenge, freedom, resources, work group features, supervisory encouragement, and finally, organizational support. So let's quickly run through each one and see how to get it right. First up, challenge. How do you kill creativity here? Easy. You just mismatch people and projects. You throw whoever is available at whatever is most urgent. But to nurture it, you have to be a thoughtful matchmaker. You have to carefully pair people with projects that tap into their skills and passions, stretching them just enough to be exciting, but not so much that they're totally overwhelmed. Next up, freedom. Now, this does not mean chaos. You kill creativity when you have vague goals, or even worse, goals that are constantly changing. That just frustrates everyone. You nurture it by setting a clear, stable, strategic goal. Think of it as pointing to a mountain and saying, we need to get to the top. But then you give your team the autonomy to figure out the best path to the summit. You trust their expertise. Let's talk about resources. meaning time and money. You want to kill creativity fast? Use fake deadlines to create pressure. All that does is create burnout and distrust. Same thing with ridiculously tight budgets. To nurture it, you have to give people enough time to actually think, to explore, to let ideas incubate. And you have to provide the funds needed to turn those ideas into something real. Number 4 is all about the team itself. It's so tempting to put people together who all think alike. I mean, they get along, they agree on things quickly, but they rarely innovate. To really nurture creativity, you need to build diverse teams, people with different backgrounds, different ways of thinking. But, and this is so important, you have to make sure they all feel supported and safe with each other. That's where the creative sparks really fly. And then we've got supervisory encouragement. As a manager, this one is all on you. Nothing shuts down a new idea faster than greeting it with instant skepticism or criticism. It trains people to just stop bringing you ideas. You nurture creativity by being genuinely open, by creating psychological safety, and this is huge, by recognizing the effort, not just the home runs, even when a good idea doesn't pan out. And finally, organizational support. Look, you could be the best manager in the world, but if the rest of the company is a political war zone, creativity will die. You kill it when you let internal competition and information hoarding run wild. You nurture it when the entire organization values and mandates collaboration and sharing, making it clear that great ideas are everyone's business. So let's make this really concrete. The research dives deep into 2 real companies that were basically polar opposites. One was a creativity killer, and the other was a cultivator. And you can see it all laid out right here. Look at the difference. At Chemical Central, the nurturing company, managers made great matches, goals were clear, resources were sufficient, and teams were diverse and supportive. Now look at National Houseware. Yikes. Urgent assignments only, shifting goals, tight constraints, a culture of criticism. It's a perfect playbook for how to destroy innovation. And the results they got were exactly what you'd predict. So the big takeaway here is really simple, but it's profound. An environment where creativity thrives doesn't just happen by accident. It isn't about having a cool office or a bigger R&D budget. It is the direct result of conscious, intentional leadership choices made every single day. And you have to remember, the stakes could not be higher. Because as Teresa Amabile put it so perfectly, when creativity is killed, an organization loses more than just morale. It loses its most potent competitive weapon, the new ideas that are the absolute lifeblood of its future.